here either.
No.
So what have I got? 5 minutes?
Go.
See what happens.
Just tell a story.
Okay, so no drunken buses, no boyfriend dumpings, but I don't know if you all have done any survival skills, any wilderness type stuff, but I have worked at an amazing, amazing summer camp in Virginia called the Living Earth School. And the first summer I worked there was 2009, and one of the many things we do, well, we do a lot of things, including every Wednesday we slap ourselves head to toe in mud. It's mud day and we run around in the woods and play camouflage games. It's not just the counselors, there are kids there too. So, but we would do it if they weren't, because it's great. But one of the other things that we do is teach kids how to make fire by friction. So bow drill kit, I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. You have several little, okay, great. You're right. So there's several little pieces of wood. You have a bow, it's a stick, and you bow and bow and bow until you have a teeny little baby coal, and then you blow it into fire, and it's beautiful. So that's one of the skills that we teach the kids there, but coming there the first summer, I had never done that. I didn't know how to do that. I knew I liked to play in the woods, I knew I liked mud, I liked kids, but all the hard skills I didn't really have. So the first summer, during staff training, they took out all the little pieces of wood, and I was like, oh, it's a piece of wood, what do I do with these? And I tried it, and it was hard, and it was hot, it was summer. And there was this really cute guy from Australia who was an expert at building fires. His name was Owen Builds a Fire. That was his camp name. and I love camp stories. So he was pretty much the designated fire builder for the camp. So I felt like, well, I don't really need to learn this skill. Like, he's got it. Some of the counselors have got it, whatever. I'm kind of giving it up. And so I had a wonderful summer, life-changing in many ways. The second summer that I came back, 2010, I decided, okay, this is the summer that I will learn the bow drill. I don't like giving up on things. I will learn how to make some fire by friction. And so I practiced and practiced. It was still hard. It was still hot. It was summer. I was sweating, and I kind of gave up for a while during the summer. So the last week of summer camp rolls around. I realized there's 1 week left. I have made this commitment. I want to learn how to make fire by friction. So I practice and practice. I get tips from my co-counselors, from my camp directors, and the first time I get it, I start crying, and I fall over backwards off the bench that I've sat down at. We have this fire circle, and there's little low benches, and so I got the first coal. The first coal I got goes out. I get a little coal, start to blow into the tinder funnel, and it goes out. And so I make another one and actually blow it into flames. It's a spiritual experience. I fall over backwards crying. It's wonderful. But throughout this whole time, I have had most of the little bits of wood that are the kit, but have not had my own bow because I've just been borrowing other people's. But I realized I want to keep doing this. I want to learn how to get proficient. I need my own bow. So it's the last day of the last week of summer camp. And there's a talent show that night with all the kids. We'll get dressed up in Goodwill costumes with gold lame and tutus and do campy, wonderful skits, because that's what we do on the last day. And I'm the MC of this talent show. So that's coming up. But I realize I need my own bow before I leave. So I go on this quest out into the woods, go up this hill, looking for my perfect bow. It has to have the right curve. It has to be, my bow. And so I go up. I find my bow. This stick that's going to be my bow, and I sit on the hillside with it, having a spiritual experience. And so I come back with my future bow, the stick, and I'm psyched about it, and I think about it all day, and I can't wait to work on it. But I have all these little children around me asking for help, twisting yucca into rope and, drilling holes through rocks with other rocks, because that's what we do. And so they're all clamoring for help, so I can't work on my bow yet. I finally get a break. I go over, get my wonderful stick out, and I'm trying to carve the end of the stick into a little notch so I can put the string around it and it'll be my bow. And I'm holding my bow in a really stupid way, pressing down with the knife directly above my hand, which, according to all the knife safety spiels I've given the kids, is not something you should do. So I'm holding this bow. I realize it's stupid. It's not even cutting, but it's too late. My hand slips. My knife goes thunk right here. I see something white in the cut. One of my wonderful plant guru co-counselors comes running over with yarrow to put on it to stop the bleeding, because that's what Achilles did with his troops back in the day. That's what its Latin name is, where the Latin name for yarrow comes from. So it stops the bleeding. My camp director looks at it. She says, "You need to go to the hospital." So it's pouring rain by this time. It's nighttime. The sun's going down. The kids are having their marshmallows, preparing for the talent show. I pass off my MC duties to another counselor. Sadly, I love the talent show. It's one of my favorite things. We whisked off to the hospital, my plant guru counselor and I, and along the way, there's this image that really sticks out to me. We're driving, it's pouring rain, it's dusk, and we look over at this field, and there's a tree with a deer under it, and the deer looks up right at us as we pass, and it's got this apple in its mouth. It's eating this apple. It must have been an apple tree, I guess, or it just went to the grocery store. But it has this apple in its mouth, and it's just like looking right at us, and that image just vividly stands out. Anyway, we continue to the hospital. We have just spent like 8 weeks in the woods and are grimy and mud covered from last week's mud day. I have bits of yucca sticking out of our hair, I'm sure, and we're in this sterile environment suddenly, where this nurse keeps coming by with a spritzer, spritzing everything, disinfecting everything. She just goes by, she goes over here, and then she comes by spritzing again, and we're cracking up because this is such a bizarre transition from mud day to bright white, disinfected. The guy who looks at my hand has these goggles that have like 1,300 lenses in front of them so he can magnify, and we try to convince him to give them to us so we can use them for our tick checks back at camp. He does let us look through them. So we're in a giddy, terrific mood despite the fact of my newly incapacitated hand. They say they can't find the tendon. I severed the tendon. They can't find it because it zapped back up the arm a little. I'll have to get hand surgery later. So they slap a brace on it and send me back to camp. The talent show is long over. We get there. They saved us some apple pie, though. We eat all of that, go to sleep. The next day, it's time to completely disassemble the camp because it's a rented space, so all of our equipment needs to get packed up back in the trailer. My car gets a flat tire. Many things happen on that last day. I have this cast. We're packing up everything. Oh, but before I had left for the hospital, I whisked my perfect stick into the back of my car because I knew it would get mixed in with all the other kids' sticks and some little child would take it home with them, and I wasn't going to give it up. So I get back to camp. My stick is still in the back of my car. We leave. I go home. I get hand surgery. I go back. I'm in college at this point. I go back to school. I have this wonderful new boyfriend who it's very frustrating to make out with because I only have one arm. And I remember that, lying in this hammock and not, what is this on my arm? I can't touch and enjoy properly. So that's terrible. But the worst thing is I had just gotten the Botro fire after like 1.5 years of sporadic practice. And now I have this giant thing on my arm and I can't make a fire at all. And so the whole first half of the semester goes by studying frustrating makeout sessions with this thing on my arm. And for fall break, I go home, I get my brace off, get out my stick that's been in the back of the car this whole time, cleverly, not learning from my past mistakes, I carve the end of it and make it into a bow. I'm the only one home. I go into the yard, I bust out a coal, and it feels amazing, amazing. And I remember I had overalls on, but I had taken the straps down because it was getting in the way of the bowing action. And so I was so excited and so happy that I just jumped up. I was like jumping around the yard, like hooting and being excited, and I jumped right out of my overalls. I was so happy. And at last I had made my wardrobe fire with my perfect special bow.